Morning, everyone, and thank you for the next installment of budget meetings for day 4. Let's start out with roll call. If you do that, Connie, please.
Bates.
Here.
Mangum.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Paulson.
Here.
Satterfield.
Here.
Swanson.
Here.
Dahlquist.
Here. All right, we have agenda item 2, which is a long agenda item. Today is the Parks and Recreation Department show. They have several sub-budgets they'll go through. It's Parks and Recreation Administration, golf courses and summer concerts, Fort Hall replica and Frontier Village, Zoo Idaho, outdoor recreation, team sports, parks, Rouse Park Aquatic Center, Community Rec Center, and Cemetery. I understand that you will start out with cemetery this morning.
Yes. Good morning, Mayor and Council. Ann Butler, Parks and Recreation Director. This is Kelly Hansen, my executive assistant. She's going to run the computer today for us. And this is Brad Haig. He's our interim cemetery / park supervisor. We've had an injury and he's been filling in for several months and he's been doing a great job. So I'm going to handle the bulk of this today, but I also just wanted to express my sincere appreciation to my crew that's here today. These are not people you guys get to see every day in council meetings. They all run their own programs. They all do it very well. They deal with the challenges of seasonal staff and the different things that they have going. So I really just wanted to publicly say thank you to them while we're here, and you'll get to meet each of them today. We will start with the cemetery, which is Fund 5. So in the Parks and Rec Department, we have several funds. The cemetery is Fund 5. It's a special revenue fund, and it is standalone, okay? So our goal basically at the cemetery is basically to honor those that are deceased. I won't read that mission statement for you, but really that's the goal, is to make sure it's a well-kept place that people can visit their loved ones. The structure of the department, under the Parks Department, Brad is filling in as that supervisor on the construction crew in the Parks Department, and then off to the right, you'll see the crew for the cemetery. That is a senior maintenance tech, 2 maintenance technicians, and then a management assistant that is 3/4 time, and she runs the office. Everybody else out at the cemetery is seasonal. Some of the goals and things that we have going on, some things that we've completed this year I wanted to talk about is, I don't know if you guys spend too much time at the cemetery, but marmot control has been one of our #1 priorities. And if you saw our cemetery on Memorial Day, I think you'd be very pleased. A couple summers ago, you could literally drive through the cemetery and see the ground move because there were that many marmots. I spent 4 days out there each day during Memorial Day, and I counted 1 on one day. Brad knows where all those marmots are. They're still a handful, right? It's going to be a balancing act, but I do feel like we are in a situation now where we can balance the number of marmots with the damage and control that. We'll never get rid of all of them, but we can control the damage and the things that are going. So these guys have spent all winter long cleaning out the back section of Mountain View Cemetery. That was an incredible amount of work to do, but I felt like it was what was holding the majority of our marmot population. So I think that's how we really curb that. And then every day they make a committed effort to kind of control that. We also started an adopt a section this year. We had 12 community groups or businesses take us up on that this year. I'm hoping that doubles next year. I didn't know what we would get this year, but I do think as patrons entered the cemetery on Memorial Day and saw that signage, they thought it was pretty cool. I've had a lot of comments about it, so I'm hoping next year we double that again. That was incredibly helpful to us because they came out the week before Memorial Day and helped prepare the section that they chose, which alleviates demands on our staff to get the rest of the sections mowed and trimmed. Other things that we're looking for, I've talked to you guys a few weeks ago in the work session about the struggle for seasonal staffing in the months of April and May and September. I've built into this budget in the Parks Department and the cemetery a 20% increase to our seasonal pay structure. So that's already included in these numbers. We need to plat the remainder of Mountain View Cemetery, that back section that we've been cleaning out. It's on the list to be done. There's some issues there that we'll have to work through. We need to also prepare for the phases of Restlawn. We've platted that now and we're finishing those final touches on that plat, but we'll be bringing those to you in the future, a phased approach. I anticipate that will be a 4 or 5 phase approach where we start on one end and start building infrastructure and grass and trees and roads and keep moving towards the north. The other thing that should be kind of on the forefront of your mind is a potential future location for another cemetery. We're years away still, but I think we probably should keep an eye out for different locations that are appropriate. We also have to consider the impact that may have on operations. If it's exceedingly far from our current cemeteries, then that will cause a burden on manpower and equipment and those type of things. It is something we're going to keep an eye out for, and if an opportunity presents itself, we'll be sure to come your direction. Other continued things, we will continue automation at Mountain View Cemetery. The water's on everywhere, but we don't have full automation. So you will see some watering during the day. There's no way around that. I just want to be upfront and clear about that. It's not ideal, but it is fairly shaded, so I think it's going to be fairly effective. We'll continue with equipment operation improvements, and then we'll just continue to work on that marmot population. So you can see in our expenditures and our revenues are higher than our expenses. And I'll just as a reminder, we are putting money away in that maintenance fund for future CIP issues. So I didn't have to take any money from operating to increase that seasonal pay in this budget. We are fully staffed, full-time headcount. Seasonally, it's an ebb and flow. We're getting close, I think.
We're getting close. I'll have 9, 10 by Monday.
10 staff by Monday.
Which will help.
Yep. Do you have questions for me about the cemetery?
So, and the capital improvement plan, so we have funds we've been putting away for an additional cemetery. Where are those funds reflected and where are we at?
We just started a year ago when we increased fees. I think when I looked, it's 966 and 967, if I'm correct, from Chantel. And right now, there's not a ton of money there. One had, I think, 35,000, and I don't remember the exact amount of the other. It's going to take some time for us to build that account for sure.
And when you say, like, with our capacity and years, do you think less than 5?
No, I think we are probably between 10 and 15, maybe even a little longer. We are seeing an uptick in cremations over burials, but I think we'll always have burials given the religious implications in this community. But that helps us actually with spacing.
Just clarification on the salaries. So the proposed budget for salaries, that includes a 20% increase for FY
seasonals.
2027.
Yes.
Can you just give us a quick example? So we're moving from
Sure.
like $10 an hour to 13 or $12 an hour to 17?
Yeah. So we talked a couple weeks ago in the work session, at a step 3, a PO1 was 1089. That would move to 1307. That is the very entry level. We do have a lot of positions that are 2s, 3s, and 4s. So that ranges between $14 and $17 an hour.
Okay. So in 2027, what's the lowest starting wage for cemetery?
It would be $12.20, the very
$12.20.
lowest.
Okay. And right now it's 10.
It would be 1016.
Thanks.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Sorry. I wanted to talk about the Adopt a Cemetery.
Yes.
I had the opportunity with the group to do that this year, and I think it was so fabulous. I hope it grows and grows because like it helped my experience the week before with Memorial Day weekend, and that is massive. We have a huge cemetery.
Yep.
And then the other one, and so I think that was a fabulous thing to start, and hopefully it will grow bigger and help, in the future, because that's a hard weekend.
Yep. We have a few tweaks to make. We figured out a few things that might make it even better, and we'll roll those out for next year. but I was really excited about it.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. All right, well, I want to publicly thank Brad and the cemetery crew. I was at the cemetery about a week before Memorial Day, and it was looking so much better than last year. And I had lots of comments from family and friends on how nice it's looking. There's still a little bit of work to go, but all your work hasn't gone unnoticed, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks from a regular walker in the cemetery. It is, I think it's one of the most beautiful places in Pocatello.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
That's it.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brad. Well, shall we move on to parks next?
Introduce yourself.
Morning.
Welcome. Braden Millward, Park Superintendent.
So today we're going to be talking about the parks and then parks admin, which is the general fund. So it's Fund 1. These are the only two divisions that are held in the general fund. Obviously, our goal is for people to enjoy kind of the trails and the parks and the beautiful spaces that we have in Pocatello. I won't read that to you. It's always a work in progress for us, of course. There are places that look better than others at different times of the year, but that's the goal. In our org chart, you can see Braden's got a big job on his hands there. He handles both sides of our irrigation crew and our construction crew, and then that subgroup at the cemetery. So you can see we have 13 and a half head count in the department, and then we increase, I don't know how many head count seasonally.
So we attain 4 hybrids that are shared with the street department that we get for 6 months in the summertime.
Projects and things that we've accomplished this year that I'm proud of. We have, next week, we will have every single sign up on our rebranding. A lot of departments, you know, they have 1 or 2 signs at their facility, and those went up really fast. We had over 60 signs to put up and take down. So those will be complete. I'm sure you've been noticing them around town. I think they look great. They were fabricated in-house by our welder with Braden's help and sent out to powder coat, but I think they look really great. So playgrounds, we've put up Westello, Freckleton, Scardino. Scardino is complete. We're waiting on some sod there, but the kids are playing on it, which is great. We'll head to Alameda next. We've got a lot of work to do there, and then we've got a few others in the pipeline. So we've made some pretty big strides this year. The tree grant, I know you guys are aware of that, between planning and Braden. That is where all that work has been accomplished. I'm gonna be honest, I have done absolutely nothing on the tree grant. Braden has bore the work on that, and he's done a great job. It's a big project to coordinate different contractors and plant over 200 trees in the fall and another 200 this spring. They've been really hopping when it comes to trees. New restrooms, you've probably seen those. We have a new restroom in Pleasureland in Lower Ross Park, right at the entrance there by that playground, and then we've got a new one right out here by the skate park. Those are new additions that this year that we were pleased about. I won't beat it to death. You guys are aware of our seasonal staffing issues in April and May and September. I've also built in that 20% increase in the Parks Division. I did have to make some changes in the operating budget to make that happen. We'll continue to work on deferred maintenance. You guys are well aware of the things that we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to use technology in any and every way we can. I know Braden has a few ideas that I thought we could share with you guys about that today.
One of them that you may have already seen that we've done is we've added mag locks to our restrooms. We aren't sending seasonal staff out to open and close in the mornings and at night, which that one is fully operational this time. Another one is some remote control mowers that would allow us to speed up trail maintenance because we have to mow all the sides instead of string trimming them, as well as some of our steeper areas that our other mowers are not able to mow as well. This one's on tracks and would allow us to mow up to a 50-degree angle, and it does it about 5 miles an hour and would help speed that up.
And that one on the tracks, that's just a demo at this time, right? We haven't purchased
No.
that. But we're trying to find a way.
Yep, yep, we just wanted to see if it would work in the areas that we were trying to use it at.
We've got a pretty steep retention pond at Legacy, and we demoed it yesterday out on that just to see what it would look like, and it did a great job. It was impressive. We had our equipment out there as well, and we were trying to figure out timing and see. It was very efficient.
We were talking about the hilly trails along I-15, the new ones that go up toward the wellness complex. It seems like it would fit that terrain really well. I
Yes.
was excited when you told me about that.
Yes.
And what do the mowers cost, the automatic ones?
The ones we saw yesterday were about $75,000 a piece. Even the smaller one was like $3,500 less than that, so. But they were pretty impressive, and Braden was handling it without much issue at all. I was pretty impressed. A few other things that we're talking about for the department. Obviously, we spent a little bit of time at the work session talking about the trails maintenance. I would like to see some sort of monetary amount set aside in parks for the trails, for the paved trails, so that we have some matching dollars to go with the Health Trust's offer. I know you guys were talking a little bit about it in street. They try their best to help us wherever they can, but I know we've never really typically used that money for match in this type of situation. I think it's an opportunity that we should not miss. And then we talked a few weeks ago about that supervisory position in parks for trails and urban forestry. I know you guys have a lot of demands. I know that this is just a discussion, but I didn't want to leave it out. Other things we'll be working on deferred maintenance wise, irrigation system remodels, landscaping remodels. We talked a little bit about Hallowell Score Booth. I'm hoping that that's a public-private partnership on that project. I don't think it'll be something we need to pay for, but I'll keep working on that. And then just kind of long-term, a parking lot paving plan. We have a lot of areas and surface in our park system that need some paving work, and that's not really something our guys have the experience or we have the equipment for.
Anne,
Yes.
on the,
It's just interesting that he's always grabbed.
the landscaper models, can you explain what that would be?
Sure. So as spaces get kind of tired, let me give an example. The Dion strip at the corner of Highline and Alameda, there's a little strip of grass there, and we're gradually losing pieces of grass there, and that would be a location where we could come in with a little extra money at the end of the year and skin it off and resod it so that we don't lose that space or reseed it. Areas that are high traffic areas like in OK Ward Park between the pavilion and the playground, those would be opportunities for us to spend some more time in the fall and either backseed or strip that and sod it.
Okay.
Just areas that are tired, or rethink a flower bed or space like that.
Mayor, I have some questions. I know we've talked in the past quite a bit about a big demand on you is maintenance. And so I'm wondering, as I've learned more about parks, it's not just the city parks that you're responsible for. So when we talk about the maintenance demands for the department, what is the biggest driver? I understand taking care of the parks, but what is taking the most time and is the biggest need?
In the springtime,
Irrigation.
it's irrigation and mowing. I will say we spend more time on anything else in spaces that are not walkable, usable spaces. These random green strips that the irrigation's old, the interchanges, things like that, that are not usable spaces where these guys really want to spend their time in parks that people use, that they regularly, have families and parties and things like that. We do have a lot, I've talked about it before, we do have a lot of random spots that the city owns. They were never intended to be Parks and Rec spaces, but when we get the call from the police that code enforcement called and said this is full of weeds, we send a crew to go clean it up. It's not a regular maintenance area. They're random strips of ground that are really not usable space.
I guess, what's the solution? Is it reasonable to look at ways of offloading that, or?
The mayor and I have been talking about that. We're gonna sit down with executive staff and start talking about those properties and figure out if we can put a list together to eventually bring back to you guys, and maybe that property goes up for sale. But we do need to have the conversation with everybody and figure out if there is intended use or purpose in the future for one of the departments before we do that. I think we need to be mindful in our plats and the things that we take on and say, okay, why are we maintaining the stormwater? Why don't they maintain their own stormwater? Things like that, why is this 4-foot wide strip here? And why is it now city ground? Things like that would help us a ton. Okay, I'll continue with the budget. You can see revenue-wise, our revenue in the Parks Department is really just things that you reserve a pavilion or the services that we provide. So it doesn't even come close to covering our expenditures in the general fund. But it is important to the community to have those spaces to gather. We are completely full FTE. It says that we have two staff there. We do not, that we filled those about a week ago. So we are completely fully staffed at this time. I think we'll have probably one opening in July we're anticipating. Questions about the parks budget?
Sure, question here.
The staff, does Parks have seasonal staff as well?
Yes.
They do, and I'm just trying to see on the org chart who the seasonal staff are.
They're not included on the org chart.
They're not?
Because,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We fluctuate based on kind of the hours they're willing to work. So Braden, can you give me a number, what that looks like this year?
I would say we will have roughly 40 to 50 seasonals.
40 to 50.
Just between the time the high school's out and the time they go back, and then beginning and the end, we're much smaller, but
Yeah.
we have probably 25 on right now, and then hoping to have about that many on after the kids go back to high school.
Okay.
But we'll have roughly another 20 starting next week.
Gotcha. And those people do everything from lifeguarding to, or is that
So
a
we don't do
different-
the lifeguards.
Just parks.
Just parks, okay.
So we do anything from, we have beautification, which does all of the weeding in the flower beds and picking up garbage. And then we have hand mowers.
Okay,
We have trim mowers, gang mowers. We have trails maintenance crew. We also have the position of those restroom staff, but they go around and pick up all the garbage cans and have to go dump those into larger dumpsters, and we have to clean the pavilions is what they do as well. And
okay,
any other small construction projects, we have a construction labor, so we have some that'll help with building playgrounds and some of those other projects.
okay. And these are mostly high school people?
We have some retired people, we have some college kids and high school kids, and
Okay.
people just kind of float seasonal positions.
And the salary increase is built into here as well?
Yes, 20%, which is the same we talked about for the cemetery.
Is that true for all your budgets this year?
I built a 20% budget increase into the cemetery and parks based on some feedback from the work session, and a 10% increase to our recreation side.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
And is it 16, like, the minimum age to work
In
for the
parks,
parks?
it's 16.
16, okay, people
Occasionally,
ask that.
yeah, occasionally we'll hire a 15-year-old at the pool, but that's the only place we'll take a 15-year-old because they're on site at that one location. They don't need to drive, they don't need to travel.
Okay,
Mr. Mayor.
yes.
A couple things. So when you lock the bathrooms at night, have you noticed better taking care of no vandalism or that kind of thing, or?
We still get vandalism, but it's happening in the daytime.
Okay.
So people are still allowed, they gotta lock themselves in to use the restroom. And so they're still able to go in and lock themselves in and vandalize them. So we still see some, We were locking them up before at night and still receiving vandalism. We just don't have to have a person go out at 9 o'clock at night now to go drive around town and lock them all.
Gotcha.
Because you have those automated locks that'll,
Yeah.
and I found out if you're inside, it doesn't lock you in. There's a way out. So that
There's a
was
motion
refreshing
sensor
to
inside.
hear. Yeah.
Did you go try it?
Not yet. Good piece of
That'd be a
mind
great
to have.
PR stunt.
Yeah.
Sorry, one more. So is there a stat out there of like how big our city is to how big our parks and our employees are? How are we on that? Do you know?
Compared to other cities?
Yeah, like compared to our size.
I do actually have at least one number. The city of Chubbuck, I think they have 4 or 5 staff, and then they have like 4 or 5 seasonals. They're not really comparable. But I was looking at Idaho Falls. They have, bear in mind, their recreation division is very different from ours.
Okay.
But in their park staff, they have 67 employees full-time. And I don't believe, based on what I was reading, that included the golf course. So they have significantly more. I'm trying to compare that apples to apples to see ground-wise, but they have an urban forestry division, like we talked about. They just have way more staff than we do, which has a huge impact.
Yeah, I was just
We
curious.
have 36 total in our recreation, full-time and parks, and the zoo, everybody, total 36.
So we're about
Yeah.
half.
Yeah, and that's just, 67 is just their parks crew.
Okay, good to know.
Okay. Anything else with parks? So if not, we will move along to the Parks and Rec Administration, golf courses and summer concerts.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brighton.
Parks and Recreation Administration is Kelly and I. It is also housed in the general fund attached to the Parks Department. Really, our goal is to help the Parks Department and the recreation side in any way we can, to steer projects, to allocate the budget, just to work with our crews and help them any way we can. I'm really trying hard to take advantage of any public and private partnerships or sponsorship opportunities that we have. One of my goals is to make sure we complete Connections Credit Union Clubhouse, which should be complete before next golf season. Made it clear trail, asphalt replacement or treatment is crucial at this stage for us. And then I'm just trying to find creative ways to address our deferred maintenance and our staffing challenges, seasonal pay, and then we'll continue with our playground replacement and our deferred maintenance issues. You can see that is our entire org chart, and we broke down the org chart for you for each division today. We've got a park side, we've got a recreation side. Really, our recreation side is uniform across the board between the zoo, team sports, outdoor rec, and then community rec and Ross Park Aquatics Complex. So that's everybody in its entirety.
And
We
that
don't,
recreation division, by the way, that's not a person, that
Correct.
one where your cursor is.
That's
But just the way that's divided up, you have just the 3 below that.
yep. There is no revenue in this budget because it is just 2 people and some operating budget. So you can see what that is there expenditure-wise. The operating budget is about 20,000, just slightly more than that, which is really cell phones, copies, some travel for conferences, things like that. Questions about Parks and Rec admin? Okay. I've also built into this slide some of the smaller divisions of Fund 4. So we are moving to Fund 4 for the rest of the day, which is our recreation fund. So golf is a small division in Fund 4. And that money is basically money that's coming in, and then I'm filtering money to 965. that we need for capital improvements. This is offsetting the little bit of money that is there for operating, and the things we cover in that budget really are software updates for the irrigation system. When we have a run of breakages at the, headwise, we try to compensate for golf for a few of those things. Different projects like that may come up. One of my goals for the department, we will be going out to bid in FY27 for the end of FY28 when our contract expires with Fort Golf. They have been our concessionaire for the last 25 plus years. I think it's fair to go out to bid and just see what's out there. I don't know if they will bid again or not. But I do feel it's important that we go out and see what's there, and negotiate another contract with somebody. We're always looking to have a good quality golf experience for patrons, of course. I'm gonna finish that clubhouse, and that's gonna be part of the battle. Other things coming at us. There is an opportunity coming to us. The planning department's helping me with a local property owner to get some ground near the golf course for additional golf parking. I don't want to name them until we've gotten all of our ducks in a row, but we will be bringing a plat to you soon. And then as they finish the plat, they would like to donate that ground to us. It is very close. It would be very beneficial. And I'm hoping that we can continue to work on putting that parking lot together. It would be for trailer parking only, which means we could have single car parking right around the clubhouse, which would be ideal. I think it would get close to 30 parking stalls with trailers. So I think that would actually handle the demands that we have there. And then I know the Golf Advisory Board spoke a few weeks ago and talked with you. Irrigation remodeling at Highland is needed first, and then Riverside. That is a massive project. We're just gonna have to figure out a way when the time comes. We are getting by. Like I said, yeah,
Yes.
The irrigation remodels for Highland and Riverside, what's your ideal timeline for that?
I don't have a timeline for when it would need done. I have in my brain some ideas on how we would accomplish it. I think you'd do 9 holes at a time. For one season, you do 9 holes and then let them play on the other 9, and then the next season you do the next 9 holes. You'd kind of bite it off like that, just because we can't put irrigation in the winter time, so we're gonna have to make some adjustments there.
So so paying for a project like that, I'm assuming it's gonna run 7 figures?
Yeah, I think it's at least $1 million project.
Okay.
Probably a little more than that.
And is that something that you are thinking that's gonna come out of, do you have a reserve fund that's dedicated to golf that could come from, or is it gonna need to come from somewhere
We'll
else?
continue to build the golf fund, but that's gonna take some time. We don't have a dedicated fund for that.
Because that was the one that was drained out for the clubhouse.
Yep.
I figured.
Yep, so we gotta keep it going while we sock money away and then start to bite those off as best we can.
Okay.
Yep. So this fund takes in, so when we receive funding from Fort Golf, we automatically split that with the water department to offset water costs. So 200K in revenues come in, and then they get their half, and then I am just using the revenues to offset. You can see the revenues coming in about 227, and then we get another payment at the end of their tax cycle, and then we offset that as well. So I think our expenditures are about $84,000 for those costs that I spoke about, just little things here and there. Yeah,
So, and so the 25 actuals of 307,
yep.
was that, did you get to keep all of that?
Those are what we kept, yes.
Okay.
Yep, so
And
the
so-
water department got,
And so that's after water?
yes.
And so 26, any idea kind of where we're project? I mean, I know the summer's still to go, so.
I will see their taxes for the next year here in the next month, 4 to 6 weeks. Yep. I am anticipating to see them come back. I know in the fall, I spoke with you guys. We had the weird conundrum between expenditures and their max. They're seeing that again. That's something that, once I see the final number, I told the mayor, we'll need to digest it, talk with Jared, and see if we can solve the problem for the remainder of the contract.
So would 307 be kind of an outlier? I mean, was that higher than usual, or?
I don't think so. We're really just keeping revenues, projected revenues here to cover this cost of this meager budget, and then we're rolling the rest into 965.
Good.
Remind me what 965 is?
It's the golf
The
capital
Capital.
project.
Okay.
Yep. It's where all the money's housed for the clubhouse right now. Yep. Next is Summer Productions. Summer Productions is a very small division. It's got a lot of history. It is not run by us. It is outsourced, and they run 6 free concerts in the summertime in June, the end of June, July, and early August for the community at the band shelter. The entire budget is allocated just to pay performers. I believe they get paid about $30 a performance, and that includes not only the performance, but their practice time the week before. So when you divide that out, they're not making it much money. They're really just there to provide a service to the community and share their talents. It is a very small budget. Band shell probably will need some remodeling here in the future. I anticipate that's probably something our Parks Department can assist with. So, questions about that? Okay.
Yeah, and on the golf, I just want to compliment your staff that Ann and I were, when we met yesterday, we were talking about, I don't think you've had any complaints or maybe one complaint so far on the clubhouse rebuild. And throughout the months leading up to it, there was a lot of work behind the scenes with Ann and her staff to get parking figured out, alternative parking, including along Tech Farm Road. And there's actually lots of room there to park golf trailers, and there's a shuttle service
Yep.
all the way to the first hole. And that was well planned out, and I can see why you're not having the complaints. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's worked out really well. The golfers recognize that this is a really big project for them. They're just excited about it. I really have not had any complaints. People are just willing to get by for the season because they know that the reward is in sight, which is great.
Yeah. Okay, so Fort Hall replica at
Yes.
Frontier Village next.
This is another very small division in the recreation side. I did meet, I know we had a request 4 to 6 weeks ago from a gentleman on the board. We have since made a lot of changes with them, and I have met with them. I had a really great meeting with their president, Arlen Walker, and their treasurer, Tom Eisenhower. It was a very productive meeting, and I think we're all on the same page. The goal at the replica is really just to share some of Pocatello's history. That's the goal. I am in the process of renegotiating the MOU with them, and I do have some information that I thought I would share, attendance-wise. So they take in about 1,800 students and scouts annually. And then they see another 300 to 400 visitors a month in the summertime. The summer months are about 70% of their total revenues between May and September. So it's really seasonally based. In the winter months, they see about 150 visitors a month, but winter's really not their focus. Their revenues per year are typically between $19,500 and $20,000 a year. So they're not taking in a ton of revenue. They acknowledge that they have the museum, you have the junction, and then you have the replica. People are coming to see the replica. They're not coming to see the museum, and they're not coming to see the junction. We're all in agreement they're coming to see the replica. Their operating budget through the county is $72,000 a year, And that is for them to keep operations of the museum, pay some of the utility bills, and then they staff the facility. We do not at all. They staff it for their open hours. They are in agreement with me that if we can keep the budget, the $11,772 in this fund to cover the utilities related to the replica and the junction, that they will work with us to continue to maintain the replica, and that they are willing to help with grants and offset matches, and we will do a little bit as well. They went ahead and paid, so they got a grant for the, to fix the mezzanine at the replica. And they paid the difference to cover that replica repair. It is complete. I've been out there. They did a great job in that renovation. You can walk the mezzanine and the stairs. It looks good. The next item on the replica to ensure the integrity of the structure is probably a roof repair. It came in just under $30,000. I think it was $27,300. Christine thinks we can get a grant in the fall for about $15,000. And in my conversation with the society, they said that they would be willing to help cover the remainder as well. And I think we probably have $5,000 or $6,000 in addition on top of the utilities to cover. We could help with that as well. I think that's a great plan. They were very appreciative of the city and city staff and our efforts there. I'm excited about it moving forward. I think I can make some adjustments to the MOU and bring that back to you. But I do know they really don't have the revenue to share if they're covering the staffing costs. So I just wanted to be clear with you guys about that. If you feel differently, please let me know and we'll make some adjustments.
Mayor.
Yes.
So can you give a little history of how this came to be? So the county built it, and is Pocatello's only role is the MOU to pay $11,000? Or it's like the
So-
city doesn't own it?
No, the city we own the replica and the junction. The museum is owned by the county and it sits on city property.
And was that
All of it is
always-
city property. Yep.
That was always the case?
Yes.
Because I tried to find an article and it's from the 90s that said the county built it or something.
For a long time, the Parks and Rec Department staffed entrance into the replica. So in 2017, it changed, and that's when it went to the society with the condition that we help maintain it. So I think, honestly, I think we should continue to repair the replica. It was built in 1963. Keep it in conjunction with what they're doing at the museum. And then I think we need to be realistic about the junction. It was not built to last what it has. I mean, Tom and I, in discussing, and I told the mayor this, and he's not wrong, is we described it kind of as a dollhouse. You know, it's really not built for the structure the same way it may have needed to be to survive this long. The junction was built in the early 90s. So it's aging as well, and it really wasn't built for that purpose. So we thought we can probably keep the junction alive for a little bit longer, but we may have to make some tough decisions and not spend a ton of money to keep it going, because the replica is the focus along with their focus of the museum.
And how many acres are up there,
I don't know the answer to that.
roughly?
I'm guessing they're at least on 10 to 15 acres.
All right, thank you.
I just had a quick question. With the Pocatello Junction, is there a line item or is there money in your mind for Pocatello Junction repairs in FY '27?
No.
No.
I think our first focus would be to get the grant to fix the roof at the replica. And then the following year, work with the society, you know, if there's money to start chipping off on those buildings. But really, I think the priority should be the replica first.
Okay, so no budget set aside for Pocatello Junction in '27. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and to me, that was really good news about the mezzanine being fixed and how the Historical Society is really stepping it up. I know a month or so ago, we were scratching our heads, like kind of wondering where the maintenance funds would come from. So I'm glad that's worked out. And I think that's important to leave that 11,000 in the budget to keep that going. but much better news versus a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Okay, so shall we move on to Zoo Idaho?
Yes. And I'm gonna stop talking for a while. To see.
Good morning, Mayor, City Council, Peter Pruitt, Zoo Idaho Manager. Zoo Idaho's mission is we're dedicated to preserving Intermountain West wildlife and habitat through conservation and education. What makes us unique within the 3,000 plus USDA licensed animal facilities is that we really are a rehab, or more of a rescue facility disguised as a zoo. Since I've been here for the last 12 years, we haven't purchased any animals. I've been working with Idaho Fish and Game and other surrounding state agencies and rehab facilities to bring in animals that cannot thrive in the wild. We also work with these state agencies if there are, for example, a grizzly bear that needs to be placed that we don't have room for. I'll work with other zoo facilities across the United States to find placements for animals as well. We have a really strong partnership with Idaho Fish and Game. When I first got here, most of the regions in Idaho didn't realize what we did or that there was even a zoo in Pocatello that would bring in their animals. I now get phone calls every year from all the regions across the state of Idaho with potential animal placements or to help find facilities to place these animals. We have within our staff, Ann is above us, then there's me. I have one lead zookeeper and 3 zookeepers underneath them. We have a curator of education, office administration / registrar. She does all the licensing and documentations that we need within the zoo world, and then 1 maintenance technician. So when we look at some of our projects and department goals, it's been about 1.5 years that we started the North American Badger exhibit. We have to do most of our projects in-house because if we were to contract them outside with professional services, it triples the cost, and so it takes a little bit longer for us to finish our projects. We will be finishing the Badger exhibit hopefully in the next couple of weeks and have her up into her new exhibit across from the Coyotes by the end of this month. Last year we received a fantastic donation for a raptor complex, a birds of prey complex, which is 4 exhibits that will be going down between our owl exhibits and elk. That one's taking a little bit longer. I've been working on that one while our maintenance technician has been working on the Badger exhibit. And then we weren't planning on doing the cougar exhibit renovation right away because I didn't think we'd get a phone call in February for a placement with cougar kittens. So, that's kind of put another wrinkle into our project process. And so we'll have that done by the end of June, hopefully in time for us to announce her name and then get her out on exhibit. Our education curator has been here for 1 year, and I've tasked him with bringing back our education programming 12 months out of the year. We kind of needed to let him get a little established within the zoo and the community, so we will be working back to 12 months out of the year on education programming, children all the way through adults. We are also looking at installing a shaded pavilion rest area next to the grizzly bear exhibit. Once Badger is done, that's our next step with our maintenance technician. We'll start putting in another shaded rest area up there. Then our 2027 project needs would be, of course, the black bear exhibit. We have a plan in place to ease kind of the time it's been taking to start a capital campaign for the black bear exhibit. We will be making a little bit of modification within the grizzly bear exhibit and moving the black bears up there. The black bears and grizzly bears will not be sharing space. They'll be 1 day on, 1 day off. Contacted our USDA person and it's absolutely fine. Our holding area for the grizzly bears is significantly larger than the black bear exhibit right now. So that'll buy us some time. And of course, I think we've got some paths down in the lower zoo that haven't been replaced since the late 70s. And so they just wear out. And of course, yes, shade areas. And our big one is a vehicle for our education programming. We go across the state, and our vehicles are all 130,000+ miles on it. And so it'd be nice to have a reliable, or a vehicle that you don't wonder if it can make it back every time we go out. With our revenues, when we look at,
Question
I just had a
here.
quick
Oh, yeah.
question. I know we heard from Fleet Services the other day, and one of their goals is to use some of their reserves to help other departments. Are you in line for a vehicle that Fleet might be able to help you with?
yes, Ann is making sure that stays.
Okay.
We've been having discussions
Yeah.
about that.
Yep, yep.
When we talked about possibly a motor pool yesterday. I don't know how much you would use this vehicle. It sounds like when you do, you go across the state, but on your vehicle, do you use it on a daily basis, or?
With the yes, we do, because we use that vehicle to run errands, you know, if we have to come down to City Hall, if we have to do grocery shopping, et cetera. So we use that on a daily basis. When we look at the vehicles that we use within the zoo, like our trucks and such, I personally don't want a new vehicle because it stays within the zoo and occasionally goes out. And that's not necessarily the nicest thing on transmissions in vehicles when you're getting next to no miles. So it's okay if we get hand-me-downs on the
He's also
inside.
transporting animals at times. So, you know, I loan in my vehicle on occasion, but it depends on what we're transporting, to be fair.
I've gone down to Salt Lake quite a few times in Oregon with trumpeter swans, so, yep,
Okay, thanks.
you bet. And then with our expenses versus our revenues, we are slowly increasing our admission fees. I'm looking at it as an every other year increase, whereas we make improvements, then I feel quite comfortable increasing our fees. We did not increase our education fees this year, mainly because the state of Idaho and the state education has been facing some budget concerns, and we wanted to make sure our District 25 can still take advantage of the zoo and the opportunities that we have to offer within there.
We were able in Fund 4, and the zoo's in Fund 4, to provide a 10% increase to our seasonal staff across the board in Fund 4, just separate from Parks and Cemetery, without taking a cut or a hit to our operating, because our revenues were increasing at a higher rate, just so you're aware.
And what I'd like to do with that increase is.
Sorry, got a question
yeah.
here.
I'm okay. You can finish your thought.
Okay, yeah, with the seasonal increase, I'm gonna be looking at trying to hire a gift shop attendant through the winter so the zoo can stay open on weekends year round. And the zoo changes in the winter, our animals do too. And, you know, we've got snow removal down, so, you know, we're very comfortable that the zoo would be a wonderful place to visit in the winter. We just needed staffing in the gift shop.
I was just wondering if you have any information kind of with, in regards to attendance trends, maybe like over
Yeah,
4 or 5
so
years?
within our attendance, since I've been here, and basically we're only open full-time May through August, we run anywhere from 25 to 28,000 a year during the summer months. And within our education programs and the people that come in to the zoo through education, then we can get close to 36,000 a year when we throw all our opportunities within the zoo.
Has it been growing?
It's been growing slowly, and you know, we were growing really when I say 10% mark, it sounds huge, but when you start off at 22,000 when I got here in 2014, it's a little bit easier. When COVID hit, we took a pretty big dip, and then the last, I think 2 years ago is when we finally kind of hit pre-COVID numbers, and then we've been slowly working our way up after that.
Okay.
No, sure.
A comment, I really appreciate the notion of tourism to the zoo, especially related to wildlife in Yellowstone. And I'm wondering if you what's your relationship with the Visit Pocatello group?
Oh, Visit Pocatello, Chubbuck?
Yeah.
I'm on the board, both of us.
Oh, you're on the board, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So good relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great relationship.
Yep, okay. That hadn't occurred to me before, and
Yep.
I think of my own, when I travel to another, place, and would love to see a panther in the wild, but it's
Yeah.
not likely, so, if you
Yeah,
go to
it's hard to
some kind
see,
of
and we do
professional
get,
zoo, yeah.
because every year, when we're open, I walk the zoo and talk with our guests and all that. We do have quite a few guests who are coming back to Salt Lake from Yellowstone. They flew into Salt Lake, and they stopped because, well, they didn't see a grizzly bear, or they didn't see this animal or that animal, so they stop at our zoo so they can at least say they saw.
What's your impression of international visitors?
We haven't really gotten a lot of international visitors, but I can tell you with Visit Pocatello Chubbuck, we are working now with our tourism director just went off to a conference that specifically dealt with international travel. And so we are working on ways to attract international travel into Pocatello. So hopefully that does increase.
Okay, Councilman Nichols.
To follow up on that question, do we have any of the relationships with any of the tour companies that bring the big buses? I know, like taking people up into Yellowstone.
Yeah, with that, again, post-COVID, those kind of tour bus type vacationers, they're coming back, but not as strong as they used to be. And with the international travelers, they are primarily the bus travelers, and that's what Visit Pocatello Chubbuck is starting to work on, yes.
Great, thank you.
Maybe if you change your concession stand into a buffet. You
There
could
we go.
have, like, visitors there. Just a thought.
Well, we can do a buffet with the diets that we feed our animals, so they can
Oh, sure.
I was thinking
appreciate.
Mandarin House.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
we do a lot of rescue work at this zoo, right? Do we make much revenue off of that, or is that almost more of like a service?
So with it's rescue, it's not rehabilitation. So with rehabilitation, then we would try to send them back, re-release them back into the wild. We would never be able to do that simply because the time and the staff that is needed to do that is immense. With the rescue, it's a matter of bringing the animals into the zoo and with filling our exhibits. So we take every advantage. For instance, with our baby cougar kitten, we have a naming contest, and that revenue generated from the contest will help fund the renovations within the cougar exhibit.
How do we generate revenue from the naming?
What's that?
How do we generate revenue from the naming contest?
So we have 3 names, and it's $5 to vote for your
okay.
favorite name.
So kind of along those lines, I'll just be, pretty open with you. I was surprised when, last year when I started looking through the budget, I didn't realize how much it costs to run the zoo. It's not cheap, right? It's you're projected at a $1.1 million loss. Yeah. So I'm just wondering, kind of along those lines, what ideas you have? Are there ways that we can lower that, and what opportunities are there for revenue increases with the zoo?
So when we look at my budget, the actual, when we pull away salaries and benefits, the actual operating costs is right around $300,000. So that's what I have to actually run and maintain the zoo when we pull off staffing. We have our Zoological Zoo Society. We're in the process of developing a membership drive, and I feel very comfortable that a very good goal for next year is 500 new, memberships, and if we put that in at about $50, because $60 is family membership, we use them to offset a lot of the capital projects that we have. So for instance, the 4 Birds of Prey exhibits and the Badger exhibits, those are all being funded through the Zoo Society. And as we improve and develop new exhibits, we'll have more guests, and then we have the ability to raise admissions and all that as well.
Do you feel there's much opportunity or appetite with private donations and corporate sponsorships with the zoo? Have we pursued that very
We are in the
heavily?
process of pursuing that. And so when we look at, for instance, Connections Credit Union funded our gift shop. And when we look at the kind of the cascading effect of that project, where Connections, we still have a great relationship with them, which then moved into helping with the golf clubhouse. So yes, we are. And the struggle that I have is when the zoo shuts down for the season, that's the opportunity I have to start working with the Zoo Society on developing capital campaigns. And by the time we get it rolling, the zoo opens back up again. And then, my responsibilities start moving away from strictly fundraising.
Okay. And then just one last question, if it's okay. I'm just wondering, I asked about kind of attendance trends. I see 25 actuals, we had a loss of 986,000. I guess, what direction are we trending? Is it every year, is it costing a little bit more, or have we been able to bring it down? I wonder.
So 2 years ago, we've adjusted and got my budget to where it kind of needed to be. And the hard part that I have is with our animals, food prices fluctuate. And I can't sit there and say, well, we don't need to buy as many tons of hay and alfalfa this year, so we can wait until prices go down. That's probably been the biggest challenge is the fluctuation, not necessarily all produce, but it's been mainly grass, hay, and alfalfa. So this year, knowing full well that this could be a very hard year for our farmers in agriculture, I've already put down and paid for the majority of grass, hay, and alfalfa before prices started to spike, and they are spiking. So that's just the nature of this business. There's certain things that I can't hold off on, but if we have to do delayed
I
maintenance.
think we found the sweet spot. I felt like when I started, we were so tight that we saw the impacts of food prices. We saw the impacts of veterinarian costs. We didn't have any money for an emergency roof repair. I think we found, and the spread is there. I've been honest about that. There's a spread, and I think, previous councils have just said, what, we want to support our zoo. But I do think we found from an expenditure that sweet spot on staffing, the sweet spot on the operating costs. Now, things can change, of course, prices can fluctuate, but I do think right now we're in a place where he feels pretty comfortable to proceed, but to cover an emergency or a sick animal, I think we're there.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else regarding the zoo?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks,
Peter.
Peter.
Let's move on to outdoor recreation.
Good morning, Council and Mayor. My name's Carrie Rhodes. I'm the Outdoor Recreation Manager. To summarize our mission statement, we provide programs, events, and manage amenities for outdoor recreation for youth, adults, and families, as well as we partner a lot with the school district here in Pocatello. Our org chart, we have Ann and then myself, and then we have a split full-time position with team sports. So we have the rec tech for 6 months a year, and they have them for 6 months a year. A little more about our department. We have the programs, the school programs. We operate year-round programming. We also run events such as the Fun Run series and help support Pocatello and other events around the city, the environmental fair. And then a lot of what we also do is oversee facilities such as City Creek, the City Creek Trails, the Nordic Center, Ross Park climbing areas, disc golf courses, Pioneer Ridge Trails that's on city land over by the old landfill. And then we have recently taken on operational management of all the river access points on the Fort Neff River Trail. And we are working on managing fire mitigation efforts for open spaces. And I want to make a distinction. Parks manages the paved trails and we manage the natural surface trails, about 25 to 30 miles of them. So some things we accomplished this year. We got a grant through the state recreational trails program that funded phase 1 of our Upper City Creek trailhead, which will soon go out to bid. So we'll have a proper trailhead for City Creek. And then we also, Christine had a grant that helped purchase the vault toilet that we installed there. So we actually have a better facility for the trail users. Our river trail accesses are almost complete. We have most of Simplot done. We're just waiting to work with them to remove some log jams so we can actually have a formal grand opening of that. But that then completes the river access trails, or the river access points on the trail. We oversaw fire mitigation efforts on the West Bench, phase 2. We have another phase of that coming up. And then that will couple with the East Bench with the Community Wildfire Defense Grant this year and for the next 5 years. And then we continually work to expand our volunteer base and also our trail adopters. Most trails in City Creek now have an adopter group that primarily focuses on vegetation management. So goals for this year, we want to start the implementation of our Trails Master Plan, which is currently in draft status. This week we've done, well, we ran a survey for the last 2 weeks and then did a public meeting, and our consultants are here working in the field to kind of fine tune that, taking in that feedback. We want to work on increasing our fun run and other event participation. While we would love to offer more programs, we're a little limited by staff budget for that, but we think that we can continue to increase fun runs and events. That's kind of more bang for your buck, and we have been increasing. When COVID happened, fun runs kind of tapered off, but we're bringing them back up, so we're excited about that. And we're going to start the implementation of the Community Wildfire Grant in the open spaces. So some needs that we continue to have are full-time staff consideration. As mentioned, I'm the only full-time staff, and then we have that split position, and she works in the winter with us at the Nordic Center. We need a UTV for the Nordic Center. We have an old John Deere Gator that has seen many years and is getting a little tired. And then we will likely, hopefully, submit grants to continue building out the Upper City Creek trailhead. We would love to have power, water, straight shade structure, and pavilion up there. And then ideally, I would love our events that now are in Centennial and put pressure in there, like our running and racing events that folks hold, to move to that trailhead to alleviate that pressure around Centennial. We are looking at a 10% increase to our seasonal staff line. And there's our revenue and expenditures, kind of modest increases. And I want to kind of make a point that we do within our expenditures. We have a lot of non-revenue generating spaces, like mentioned before, our open spaces, disc golf, rock climbing, those sort of things.
I know Carrie's done a really great job with our volunteer work. Those trails, those are things that weren't happening prior. And also the Firewise grant that's out there, that was actually held by another staff member that left, and it wasn't held in our department, and Carrie offered to take that project on. So those are big things for us.
Revenues projecting at about 150,000, and expenditures about 436,000.
Question here.
So what you just said and all the things you have to do, and you and one half-time worker?
We have a handful of part-time staff as well. They're seasonal, but most of them work year-round, up to about 20 hours a week. Yep.
Okay, so you have some part-time people.
Yeah.
Okay. I just see that you're taking on a lot with not a lot of help. That's great. I saw the other day, there was a volunteer on Pocatello Creek, an older gentleman. I was like, oh, like.
We do have a lot of volunteers that help out.
Yeah.
For sure.
But, well, thank you for all your work because I feel like you're understaffed.
Thank you.
On that, the Trails Master Plan, Carrie, I know we did the Parks and Recreation Open Space Probst or whatever. Why are we doing this as well? Will it feed into that Probst plan?
Yeah, so the trails part of the PERS plan would just kind of scratch the surface, and the PERS plan, one of the top 5 recommendations was to do a comprehensive master plan for our trails.
Okay, so it was a recommendation
was,
from
yeah.
Probst. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
Under the FY '27 projects needs list, do you have any of those budgeted or not yet?
No, none of those are budgeted, and the brush hog mower we actually had to buy last week because ours completely died. So that's that's taken care of for now, but those are not budgeted.
All right. So with the remaining list, what would the Nordic Center UTV, how much would that cost?
That's probably about 30,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I imagine a full-time staff is a little bit more than 30,000.
Yes, that is the priority though.
The full-time staff is your
Absolutely.
priority.
All right, yes.
The phase 2 of the trailhead, do we have an idea of what total project cost of that would be?
We have some money that has been committed from a business, so I think we're probably at about 70,000 still that we would need, and we'll probably apply for another RTP grant, continue down that road, and identify some other grants as well.
And you feel like once that project's done, that could help with some of our problems at Centennial Park and Idaho Street?
Yes. The other part of that is if Carrie moves some of her big events there, that will help alleviate the congestion. And then I'm also hoping off the Rainy side, as the wetlands built, that we can push parking to that side and have people walk over the bridge, because we're just landlocked on the other side. There's nowhere to go for parking.
Thanks.
Okay, sure.
I think it's important to comment here that throughout this budget process, so many of our departments and department heads have put a lot of thought and effort into finding funding sources outside the city. And the city budget's big, it's stretched, and over again through this budget session, I've heard that we're getting help from the community, and we're working on doing that more consistently and more broadly throughout this, throughout over time, I think, too. So I just really appreciate that, and I really want our citizens to understand that our staff do make every effort to find funding sources outside your tax dollars to operate this city and its functions. So thank you.
Great point. Yeah, ranging from memberships to grants to corporate sponsorships, very, very great point. And I know the IFT Foundation, they have the cycle twice a year, and they have $10,000 grants. And I know a gentleman on the selection committee, and he said to me, if the city applied every 6 months, we would give them something. And that's an important source to not leave that money on the table. I think they just match so much of what we're trying to do. So keep in mind that funding source.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. All right, it looks like team sports is next.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Richard Henderson, Team Sports. Mission statement for the Parks and Rec Department, try to provide quality programs and maintain parks and facilities. If you go down to our organization, the Team Sports managers, myself, and my half-time, or full-time, but half-time of the year groundskeeper, Amber Wild. She works May through October, or excuse me, end of March through October for groundskeeping season when we run our programs, baseball and softball. A little bit about the team sports department. We run leagues for youth and adult and also special events. Our youth rec programs are open to all comers, whether they can pay or not, and all of our youth teams are coached by volunteers, and we would not be able to run our programs without our great volunteers. Goals, expand or add programs as they are available. We, as a city, do not own an indoor gym facility, so we are dependent upon a use agreement with the school district for those. There are times, though, when I have more games than I can play in School District 25 gyms, and we have to play outside of Pocatello. Teams that come from out of town and play in this league like to have games in their own town if we can arrange it, and so it works out great. We can use their gym at no cost and have access opportunities for participation. We've had teams, just as an FYI, from Logan come, Rexburg, Rigby, Rupert, Malad, Snake River, we get every year, American Falls, so we have teams come from all over the region because they like playing in the league. Teams here, we offer them practice time for all of our programs, so if you are in my league's youth programs, you have the opportunity to have dedicated practice, whether it's baseball, volleyball, or basketball. And that's not always the case with other programs. I'm dependent to run programs with my part-time people. I have about 20 part-time people. I try to keep them on and working all year round throughout the different programs. And when I look to hire somebody, I ask if they're willing to work in other programs because I'm happy to cross-train them and keep the numbers down and keep people working if they want to work. I'm realizing that my part-time opportunities are probably a second job or a third job for most people, and fit that in on the weekends to make a little bit extra money when they can. Projects, we ever got the money, I would like to like the other two softball fields at NOP, which would be approximately two fields, I would say at least $500,000. ATV is used every day, 6 months, for 6 months, 5 days a week, so those wear. Portable pitching mounds, we have 2 seasons of baseball, so those also wear. Those can be things probably that can be absorbed at the end of the year in the budget, but the field lighting is a longer term project. We have done a couple of things. I replaced the lighting at Pokey High Tennis Courts last year. Less fixtures with LEDs, so they will last longer and provide a better lighting product than what we had previously. And then also done some fencing on some of the older sports fields that are 40 years old and needed some fence replacements. And we do those as we have money available.
Just revenues and expenditures.
Revenues will be about this, project about the same. Expenses includes the 10% for part-time rec staff. Other than that, I don't have any other items. If you have any specific questions.
Okay, got one here.
So I understand you've got a large crew of part-time folks. And what budget line do those fall under? Because I'm assuming it's not here.
10:03,
10:03, yep,
1003 is,
part-time.
is seasonal staffing, yes.
there's a,
10:03. Oh, you probably don't, let's see.
it's just not on this particular,
Yeah, it's under
It's-
salaries, it's all lumped together. I believe.
so
Yeah, we can detail that, it looks like.
Pull that up.
Salary category. Up, there you
There we
go.
go.
See the breakdown.
There you can see the breakout. 10:01 is Richard. 10:02 would be the halftime for Amber. And then the 10:03 is his seasonal line, so it's about, it would go up from 82,000 to about 90,000 per year.
and how many people does $90,000 cover for part-time folks?
He's got a rotating group of about 20, but they work nights and weekends. So, you know, if you're doing kids basketball, you keep score on a Saturday. Or if you're taking or keeping score at adult softball, you might work from 6 to 10 or so.
So these are not 20-hour a week. These are not 20-hour a week people. These are like 26-hour, 10-hour.
Right. Yep. So it's just kind of
Okay.
hit and miss. You might work a Saturday and that's it for a while, or
I see.
you might
Okay.
work every Saturday. Yep.
All right.
Carrie's, Stacy's, Richards are all kind of based on the demands of their programs.
Okay. All right.
Okay, yes.
In your goals, you talked about expanding your team sports. What do you mean by that? Different sports coming in,
Having
like
different
cross?
opportunities. One of the things I would like to get to at some point is offering more programs for older kids. The elementary and younger middle school, there are a lot of opportunities, not just with the city, but other private programs. The older middle school and high school, there's just not those opportunities. So when I run across something that we can do, I'd like to do that, or programs that aren't around. So beginning next spring in the volleyball, my girls' volleyball, I'm gonna try to add a high school, because there's just not those opportunities for the older kids. So when something makes sense that we can do and it's not being duplicated by a private organization, we'll try to add those within our budget constraints. And obviously we'll add some infrastructure to make those happen, but it's not gonna be.
Yeah, we've talked
Too
about like
tremendous.
in hockey, because of the new hockey team in Utah, they'll be offering some opportunities to communities around them, like we do junior jazz. So there's maybe some potential there. I'm not sure yet. You know, we tried to offer a camp last year just as kind of a beginning. We'll see what those opportunities bring.
Do you offer boys volleyball?
We don't, there's not the demand for boys volleyball that there is for girls. If there was, we would offer it.
Okay,
I get maybe 1 or 2 calls a year about that.
okay.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've been a soccer mom, but one of the things I remember is the status of the NOP parking lot. I'm just asking, what is that still unpaved?
It
there?
still is unpaved.
Okay.
It's always something on Richard's list. He wishes it was paved. It is heavily used by PVSC on the younger kid soccer. We have all of our adult softball programs out there. We also have youth league that plays out there as well. So there is a lot of traffic through there, and it is gravel, so it's difficult.
Yep. Have we ever bid that or estimated how much it would cost to pave NOP?
Have you ever gotten a?
No, I don't.
We've
That'd probably
never,
be a question that Tom
And
would have a
Tom
better
would
Tom
handle
be
could
able
on.
answer
to,
it.
if you have the square footage, I bet he could answer that really quickly.
I don't know what the square footage is off the top of my head, but
It's all right.
it's substantial. It's a
I'm
quite
sure.
large lot.
Yeah.
We've never had that type of excess funds to
Right.
wish for that.
Whose wish list would that be on if we were to put it on a wish list. Yours?
It would be on, have to be on ours. Even if Street did it, we would have to pay them for those services.
And would it be on team sports? Would that be an appropriate?
Probably all of Fund 4. We would have to figure, you know,
Okay.
any idea for square footage right now for paving?
Tom Kirkman, Public Works. I don't have the square footage. A long time ago, we paved that parking lot with asphalt, recycled asphalt millings. What we've been noticing is the microsil treatments that we put on, we've actually put that over millings, and it's a very reasonable cost. It's like $275 a square yard, and it could be a potential option. Ann and I can talk about that. To be really, because it's got a good chunk of asphalt, but the recycled asphalt doesn't really pack real well, so it kind we could
But
talk
you've got a
about
good base there
yeah,
to start with,
yeah,
for
so we
sure.
might be able to put a thin layer on top and hold it.
We could try that.
I'd like to add that as to somebody's list to
We'll take a look
get
at
some
it.
Richard-
improvements there.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Richard talks about that all the time. We do get some complaints, you know, because there's no way to mark that parking lot very well. And so one or two people can park weird and cause a big problem. Yep.
We've got temporary markings down on for the big softball tournament this weekend, so
Okay.
But it's gone in a week or two.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, Councilman Mangum, and then Satterfield.
On the topic of NOP, what does our contract with PVSC look like? Is that something that we could probably revisit because they might be able to absorb some of the cost of repaving?
PVSC is one of our longest, probably our longest use agreement grandfathered in. They don't pay for anything that they do there. I don't know what kind of funding they have. I know they've been putting money into some other things, but I don't know the status of their funding levels right now. I'm sure they're all gonna tell you they don't have any money, but
For sure.
yeah.
As for team sports, I think we do a really good job with our team sports. And so I support what is going on in team sports. So yeah, good job. Thanks.
Couple things as we're talking about paving. I don't remember what the park is across the street from Hawthorne, where the little kids play baseball.
Hawthorne Park.
Is it called Hawthorne
Yep.
Park? Oh, fabulous. Of course. That road too. I mean, that parking lot too. And I don't know if the school district would kind of go in on that too and do what he was saying. And then my son was playing baseball in the league. And I was so impressed when we went and did pictures, how many older groups of kids were there playing. I was, you know, like, as like soccer goes, they go to competitive, but I was so glad that they had programs for older kids in your guys' program. I was impressed. I didn't realize that there would be the need. So I thought that was great.
Richard's done a great job. Team sports has changed drastically over the years, you know, competitive and traveling teams and all of that. I mean, it's a new world, and Richard's adapted quite well. There needs to always be a place for kids that don't want to play at a different level for them to participate, and I think we're doing that well.
Yeah, and it gets so expensive, and so that is a way and an avenue that they can still play and still play baseball or whatever sport it is that they're playing. So.
Yeah, Councilman Mangum.
I think Bates had something.
Okay.
I'll go after.
Okay, I just was gonna ask real quick, kind of along those lines, because my kids are, team sports is quickly becoming my entire life, so. How has demand changed with our sports? Are we seeing increasing or decreasing demand? What's that looking like?
it depends on the activity. Baseball, a little less because you have more travel teams. And they're trying to compete for the same fields. That's why I make sure that my teams have dedicated practice on the fields we use, so they know that they can show up and that it'll be there for them. I would say volleyball is an expanding sport, especially in the adult level. I'm changing some things around with the girls volleyball, and I think that'll make some more opportunities for everybody to be interested in that. Basketball is kind of cyclical. We're up in basketball right now, which is great. Adult softball, we're really up numbers this year, which is great. So there, I mean, a lot of it is cyclical, but I mean, there's some nice trends that are happening in some sports, so.
And then just briefly, real quick along that as well. Are there any sports that we offer that we duplicate with the city of Chubbuck? And are there opportunities for us and Chubbuck to just run a joint league and use all facilities together?
Yes, and yes, it would be up to somebody above my pay grade to make that happen, but we'd be willing to talk about that. If they're interested.
Yeah,
For
have we ever had
example,
those conversations?
Yes, we have. Chubbuck has a baseball and a softball league. Years ago, we had a softball league. Our numbers were dwindling and we gave what we had to them. They run that now, and then we coordinate when, you know, they get an increase or a tournament or something for overflow, they use our fields. This year we coordinated between Chubbuck and us, the U15 division, for our baseball teams, so that they can see other teams, just so neither league had a ton of teams. And so, yeah, it's always something we're talking about. We work well with them, the best we can to make sure that all the kids get the opportunities.
Okay, thanks.
I will say, flag football increased, from a private organization. We had a 3rd and 4th grade league. We made the decision a year or two ago to cut that back because there was an opportunity. We definitely don't want to compete with some of those, organizations, but also make sure that we can just provide the offering to kids that might need it.
So my question was almost identical to Councilmember Bates on the demand for those older kids. I wish my kids were better at sports. I'm just kidding. My kids are actually pretty good. Because like Councilmember Bates, my life is overran with sports also, right? But at that higher age group, I know that there are some kids who just don't want to play in high school. They don't want to, or they can't play in high school, can't play in middle school, so on and so forth. Is there a heavy demand for that? Are there kids who are actually interested if they don't make like the high school team or?
I'm sure there are. I mean, we are so locked in on the times we have in the gym, so we just can't offer, no real time to offer, or at least try to offer anything to high school age kids. Even in the summertime you start with the summer programs, and then when they get a couple weeks off on that, then they're resurfacing the gym floors, and you just run out of time even in the summer to do that. So, you know, if there were other gym opportunities that we had where we could offer that, we would. I just happened to find, be able to make some changes for the girls volleyball to try and add something in what we were already doing. And I can, change a little bit and add something in the fall to make room for this in the spring. But basketball wise, there's just not any gym openings to do that. If we had access to other gyms, we might be able to. I mean, I know the MEC is out there, but they're full of things that they already got rented out to other teams and other leagues and other craft shows. And I mean, they have very limited off time that would be available, but that's not necessarily, their off time is not necessarily the time that would be appropriate that we could run something. So, and we've actually run a few things in the MEC just to try it out and see how it worked in their off season, and it worked okay, but they still charge us, and we can use School District 25 facilities at no charge to us, so we're gonna do that.
Okay, looks like we're good. Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next, we will discuss Ross Park Aquatic Center.
Going back for more?
Hi.
Are you coming?
204,000 in asphalt and 72,000 in microsill,
For NOP.
all 3 lots.
Oh, all three, even the Hawthorne that we were.
Oh, just the
talk-
3 lots at
Oh, the
NOP.
3 lots there, okay.
We're just
So
shy of
about a quarter of a
300K.
million.
All right, good morning, Mayor and City Council. I'm Stacy Van Kirk. We'll be up here for Ross Park Aquatic Complex as well as the Recreation Center. I'm Recreation Manager. Okay, so our mission statement, I mean, we just strive to have quality programs at all of our locations. And so really that's the goal of both the Rec Center and Ross Park Aquatic Complex. We're lean staff at Ross Park because it is a seasonal facility. It's myself and about 75 seasonal employees. Ross Park Aquatic Complex is just more than a pool. It's a destination place for many members in our community. And then we do get our seasonal visitors that come from out of state as well, or even coming down from local communities. Department goals, we have still a lot of deferred maintenance, things that need to be taken care of. The ARPA funds launched us forward immensely. The place looks completely different in about 2 years than it has in a really, really long time, but there still are some things that we need to get done. Looking at future amenities, either replacing like our kiddie pool, or Ann and I have discussed maybe having a miniature slide that goes into like the main pool, just for those younger kids, since they can't go on the big slide, but maybe they're a step up from the kiddie pool slide. So things like that, wave runners and things like that have been thrown around in the past, but they're really expensive. So I think there might be some mid-grade stuff that we could put in. And then obviously parking lot maintenance, asphalt there too. Certainly a step up from NOP, it sounds like.
It is, yes.
So.
2 steps.
Yes.
It's asphalt.
Yes. Our future needs and projects, and which actually I have some funding for. We were able to do the lazy river and the kiddie pool filtration systems with the ARPA funds, but we still have 2 sets of pools that still need their filtration systems to be replaced. And so I do have recent quotes up there of $133,000. Even though they're 2 very different size systems, the money comes out to about the same as what Mastercraft says, because they literally require about the same amount of equipment to run. And then we're looking at needing to replace our main pool cover. We were able to replace the lazy river last season, but the main pool, it protects our pools during the winter, and so it's a crucial thing to get done as well. We were able to get a 10% fund raise without doing anything to our operating fund, so that is exciting. I feel like I have the staff at Ross Park, even though they're young, they are the most responsible for lives in our community for a 3-month period. So I do think, and they have to pay for a certification to even work for me. So I appreciate any increase to our seasonal line items that we can get. Our revenues are constantly over our projections at this time. However, because it is a seasonal facility, we could see those plummet just by a rainy, cold winter or summer. So, but right now, last year was fantastic, and it looks like we're on par for a fantastic year this year. Our revenue totals for 491,000, and then our expenditures 730,000.
I think Stacy and I were very conservative on our revenue projection. I would not be surprised if we had a hot summer if we didn't exceed that number. Between the water slides and the improvements that we've made, we have 100% seen the impact of putting money back into that facility and the rec center as well.
This is great. I think you're super conservative in your revenues. We have people who come from Rexburg and Idaho Falls down to use our facilities. We have people in Idaho Falls who are always complaining, why doesn't Idaho Falls have something like this? And I'm like, don't build anything, just keep coming to Pocatello. But so with that, the slide use, have you seen it increase?
Absolutely. I pulled up last year's numbers. We had 19,555 riders just on the slides last year. So that was a revenue of 97,000. This year, we did increase the slide rides by $1, so I expect to see that hit and increase things. I don't think by raising it $1, we're gonna see our riders decrease. We're gonna just see it increase. It's such an attraction and a good way for adults and youth to have a really good time at Ross Park. And just a couple other things. We had over 65,000 visitors to Ross Park last year. And then I program out that facility more than we have ever done in the past. When I first started, the place, you didn't even show up till noon to work. Now we have swim lessons out there. We're doing the river walking. River walking doesn't cost me any staff except 2 cashiers at the front to take their money. We don't lifeguard it, although we do monitor it because if there were to be an emergency, we have enough people there to take care of it. But because it's happening when we have staff around, we don't really have to physically lifeguard it. That river walking brings in a ton of money just by giving people time to walk the river. So, and then we have our night parties and our morning parties throughout the season that bring in revenue as well, so.
The older I get, the more I'm like, I gotta start doing that river walking.
Yes.
It's pretty popular. I think the most crucial thing here and the success we've had is based on training. Stacy runs an extensive training program to ensure that these kids know exactly what to do in an emergency. Now, that doesn't mean that bad things might not happen, but we're prepared when they do.
So on that note, it's evident that you're doing such a great job in training because year after year, these kids keep coming back.
Yes.
I mean, it's almost the same kids every single year. I saw a kid who was 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, dude, are you not done?
Yeah, right.
Working here? But they enjoy the atmosphere and they enjoy what you bring by way of training and everything that goes on in there. So I just want to commend you for doing a great job. We resurfaced the pool and the lazy river.
Mm-hmm.
How is that holding up? Is there a certain time frame on where we should probably start looking at resurfacing again, or?
So the original surface lasts the longest. So anytime you resurface, it won't adhere as well as the first time. They're saying probably about 10 years. So we still probably have a good 8 years.
Yeah.
We did have a part of the lazy river where the bonding failed. And so Mastercraft came in the next year and tore it all out and redid the whole thing. So basically, it was like starting all over again. And we also had an issue at the kiddie pool, so kind of the same thing. So we're actually just about a year into those resurfacings there. We're not seeing any major issues for us, red flags at this time. So I would say it'll go out maybe in about 3 years, we'll start to project a 5-year
Okay.
thing.
Councilwoman Satterfield.
Yes,
Yeah, do you guys advertise for that walking?
yes.
For the,
sort of.
older community?
It
'Cause
is
I think a
so.
lot of people would use it if they knew, and I had no idea you
Yes.
did it.
We can only have 100 people walk the river at a time.
Yeah.
And so I don't even really have to advertise it. It is by word of mouth. We put it on our website and things like that, but I don't have to do extra extensive. It is word of mouth, and everybody brings somebody. So, and I would say we typically every day have between 75 to 85 people.
Wow, and do they pay every time, or do they have like a
So,
pass?
yes, a season pass does cover river walking, so that's a way for us to promote the season pass. They can pay with a punch card, or they can just pay a daily fee when they come, so.
Okay, yes.
Hi. Could you tell me the cost of entrance and for a slide ride? I'm trying to figure out how affordable it is for a family to come
Right.
in and,
So this last year, we did raise our fees in April last year. So the adults are $8, youth 7 to 17 are $6. Then the 1 to 6-year-olds are $4, and seniors are $5.
and what about slide?
Slide is $6 this year.
Do you ever see your prices being a barrier to citizens being able to use the facility?
No.
If you look at prices elsewhere, We are a very affordable place to spend a day.
Especially
And
an
I-
8-hour
I'll
day,
put it
yeah.
up against Geronimo's for an hour. I think it's $12 or $13 for 1 hour. When you look at some of the other amenities in town, this is, honestly, I don't know why more families don't pay for a family season pass.
And then just to kind of answer your question a little bit more, every evening from 5 until 7, when we close for a 2-hour period, is half of mission. So for those people that do struggle to come up with that daily fee, there is a time to come, and it's actually a wonderful time to come. It's quieter,
from
people, yeah. So
5 to
5 to
7.
7, Monday through Thursday. They can come for half price admission. The water slide still costs the regular amount, but everything else is half price.
That's right, and I want to clarify, I wasn't implying that your costs were too
Yes,
high, but even
no.
as low as they are, is it a barrier? And it doesn't sound like it is.
No.
Thank you.
Most people are surprised that it's not more.
Yeah.
I was there opening day in line, and it took me about an hour to get in.
Yes.
And yeah, but I was overhearing or eavesdropping, if you will, people who were just like, man, the cost is so great. Like, we can't go anywhere else and have this same quality of service. And then people were raving about the food. I'm like, dude, it's opening day, right? And they remembered it from last year. We have a family of, I think there's 9 of us in my house. And it's definitely affordable for the family and a great time.
Thank you.
Yeah, great,
You have to
yes.
With Council Member Nichols' question, do we charge the same amount resident versus non-resident? Do we not have a non-resident cost increase?
Out at Ross Park, we do not have a non-resident fee, just because of the complexity of how long it would take to prove residency or non-residency. You know, and then we do have those young kids that come that are like 12, that they come by themselves. How would we prove residency for them? So we've definitely looked at it, and councils have looked at it before. But that one, we would just like to say, let's just try to keep that one. At the rec center, you'll see that we do have resident and non-resident fees.
Yes.
Can you give us a kind of demographic overview? Obviously, the river walkers are probably adults. But during the day in the summer, is it primary that, are we serving mostly youth and parents, or what's the approximation of the population that we serve the most?
Last year, we had 21,000 adults, 9,000 child, so that's 1 to 6. We had 1,600 seniors and 20,000 youth.
So youth by far.
Yeah, youth and adults.
And youth counts as 6 to 18?
7 to 17.
7 to 17, okay, great. Has there been any partnerships with School District 25?
We host, not during the actual summer, is that what you're kind of asking?
I am asking
Okay.
that, yeah.
During the, like right now, we have ran 6 different field trips for them for the preseason, or their end of year, our preseason. So that's what we do there. We don't really have any other cooperation with the school district at this time.
We do have them come into our facility at the rec center during the school year for different activities, but the pool is just kind of opposite their schedule. So it's really just those field trips right at the end of their year.
So the school doesn't come in, there's the swim teams, doesn't come use your facility anymore?
In August, yes.
Okay.
Yep. In August, end of August until, well, for about a month, until about mid-September, we host I don't even know how many teams. Last year, I think we did the 2 teams out of 3 came to us, and they practiced in the off hour, starting at about 7. Sometimes they have to wait till 8:30 if we have a party or something, so.
Let me just clarify the reason I'm asking that. Since it is such I think it's a gem for in our city, I would hope that that we're not missing any kids who really want to do that in the summer, especially our Alice population kids who just don't have a lot of money to spare. So any opportunity to make that a prize in the school district, or asking the school district if they're deserving kids that might really benefit from a pass, or they can, take advantage of that in the summer. I thought that's where my thinking was.
Yeah, I do have a few teachers that reach out and ask for, some sort of pass for a reward for their excellent students or the ones that have hit reading goals. We've partnered up with the library for those kind of things. I always figure I can give a complimentary pass to someone because, especially for a kid, because usually that means they're bringing in an adult to come with them. And so there's going to be that additional revenue anyway. So I'm pretty, giving when it comes to people asking for passes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
now we'll
thank
do the
you,
rec center.
Stacy.
One more. Okay, the community rec center, our goal is pretty much the same, our mission statement when it comes to it. My organizational chart there is I have 3 department specialists, 1 full-time, 2 3/4 time. They basically are the front desk clerks that you run into when you first come into the recreation center. So once again, a very lean staff. The only need I could see in the future, and we've talked about before with Ann, is having somebody on nights and weekends, because to have, once we all leave, all the administrative staff leave, we're leaving one person in the building to run down to the emergency door, to take care of any emergency in the pool, to sell memberships, to answer phones. And when all 4 or 5 of those things are going off at the same time, I have one person trying to manage that. And it's stressful at best. And so if I come with a future ask, it would be for something like that.
And it wouldn't be a full-time position?
No, it would
probably
not.
be
It
a
would still,
part-time.
it would still fall into a variable hours seasonal category. But I also, under that, have like 25 instructors that kind of stay on with me year-round. They work anywhere from 2 hours to no more than 20 because of the having to stay under the threshold of 15, 60 hours a year. So, but they're the ones that teach our dance lessons, our swim lessons, our fitness classes. So I'm really, really thankful. I just had someone leave after 25 years of teaching fitness. So once again, a stellar employee who's stuck it out, who probably deserved way more than her little, compensation that we give her. So I'm just really thankful for those people that see the goal like we do. Our departmental goals at the rec center, once again, to continue to work on our deferred maintenance, possible renovation for the remainder of the rec center. We have had some architectural drawings made up. If we can't ever secure or figure out how we would do the full renovation, I think there are parts of that that we could probably kind of phase and do some of those things in smaller chunks. And then parking lot expansion, so if the house between the community rec center and, let's say, City Hall ever becomes open, I think it would benefit us to try to purchase that land. There are nights where people are parking all the way from Maple Street, all the way down Wilson, wrapping around, whatever that street's named, I think it's Oak Street. And people are having to hoof it in, which, they're coming for fitness, so it's not such a bad idea, but the neighbors do get a little
We try to be good
disgruntled.
neighbors. We're part of the Lewis and Clark neighborhood, and we try to really get along and do everything we can to appease them, because we know that that's their home as well.
But our major projects that needs, plumbing, we're kind of etching away at some of the plumbing as we can fit it into my budget, but there's still some major plumbing. The men's shower drains have to get done. We did that with the women's, and we were able to kind of absorb it into our budget, but it would be nice just to be able to maybe get that done. We do have some mechanical upgrades and things that we just need to work on. Our locker room improvements, we need more locker rooms that are for families. We took one office and made them into dry dressing rooms, which give kids a place where they can just go for themselves. But sometimes send kids into the adult locker room, it doesn't feel so good anymore these days. So in our new plan that the architecture drew up, there are 2 more full shower rooms that would be family. It would be taking a portion of our adult locker rooms. to make a family changing room, which I just think is right now just inexpensible to have. We need it. And then we really do need to make some efforts of looking at retiling, not retiling, but regrouting our pool, and then securing what we have, the structure we have at the rec center for that tile. If it starts to pull away, we could have a shell issue, and we don't want to be doing that. And then it's kind of always on here, but the pool air handling system, these all are kind of in that future expansion, but I mean, we're talking, I don't even know if we have a price, 5 million
So
to do
just
that second half.
For some of you that may not know, the Health Trust a few years ago put a bunch of money into the facility and created the new weight room, which renovated some of our other spaces. When they were done, it left about a quarter to a third of the building that hadn't been touched, which is the 4 locker rooms and the pool deck, and then probably the internal guts underneath the pool. Those are the things that are left to be done. So we asked for some money a year or two ago for an architectural study so that we can prepare if we get another opportunity from a corporate sponsor. It's a 5-phase approach where we could stay open and continue those renovations in the 5 phases to complete the rest of the building. Yes, there's where it's plumbing, that's the most expensive portion. But we're hopeful that in the future we can get some more partnerships and continue down that path. But there are some pieces of the plumbing that we're just gonna have to find a way to bite off in some places to make sure we don't lose integrity.
Yes.
Has attendance or membership increased? Okay.
Yes, we increase every year. I do have some numbers on that one too. We had 76,000 visits, and that doesn't include for all the people that we open the gate for. So that's people that are scanning their cards to come in, and then there's the dance parents and things like that where we just let them in. So we're way over that attendance record. Members at the rec center, it's kind of hard because people at the rec center, we allow them to have a monthly, or they could do a quarterly, which is 3 months. And they bounce all over, but it looks like we have about 2,400 members at the rec center. And then our day passes are about 8,407 a year. We see those numbers go up every single year. Medical insurance covering senior, mostly senior memberships, that drastically drives the senior population up at our place. And it's awesome to see, and I'm glad that insurance companies are covering that. Seniors come to our facility every day, adding to our membership.
As you can see on our financials, we have been very conservative on our revenues as well. Our actuals in '25 were much more than what we're projecting. Honestly, we just feel more comfortable making sure that we're exceeding that number, which is why that's there. It doesn't have the weather or climate type scenarios, but if for some reason we had a catastrophic issue, that could impact our operations.
Yeah. Councilwoman Swanson.
Yes.
So on several of the budgets, there are projected projects and needs that are listed. How do you want us to calculate those? So and I think the budget before for the pool had specific, like 130,000 for re-plumbing or filtering. Are these things that are budgeted? Are these things that you're saving money in reserves for? Are these things that you're asking council to approve from general funds? I'm trying to understand how you'd like us to consider those projects and needs.
So these ones are a little more difficult because you get surprises when you open a wall in the rec center of age and structure. And so we haven't put pricing on all of these. I think what probably moving forward for the rec center would be to identify, which phase we would do first and then get out to bid and give that full cost. Or we'll have, if we have an emergency, those are the type of things I'm trying to fit into the budget. And Stacy says, hey, we've got this toilet's got a big problem. we've tried really hard in the past to give a number to each of these, but we were finding we weren't getting, number one, as good a bids as we wanted, because we ask every year and they, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, you again. And so we didn't feel like we were getting great numbers, but we can prioritize maybe one or two of those and get you a solid bid for those and focus that way.
And would that be a budget amendment that you would assume that would, how we would handle that?
Yes, if we had excess funds in Fund 4, all of the divisions we've been talking about are in Fund 4, we would bring those to you through a budget amendment with the way to pay for it.
Gotcha. So these projects and needs really are Fund 4
Yep.
priorities.
Yep, unless you chose to fund them as part of the budget process, you know what I mean? If you said, hey, I want to buy this, and you've budgeted for it during this process.
And just to clarify, since I'm new to this, Fund 4 is the reserve fund for the entire Parks and Rec division? No.
Fund 4 is recreation only.
Okay.
Which is separate from parks and
Okay.
parks admin. So when we don't, if we have money, we have an authority to spend $600K and we only spend $550, that $50K goes into Fund 4 reserves.
Okay. What is the balance in Fund 4 now?
It's just under $1 million.
Okay. And Fund 4, real quick, Fund 4 serves
Recreation,
which is
outdoor
Outdoor
rec, team, rec center, Ross Park, and all those little divisions we've been talking about today.
so it serves a lot of these
Does, yep. And
departments.
in the past, Fund 4 reserves have been in the red. We have fought tooth and nail to get to where we are today, to make sure we had our 3-month reserve plus some for an emergency. Because in years past, we were coming to you asking for emergency funds.
So if we move more toward capital improvement plans, I mean, I think we would see some of these things go on there, and I know that we've identified some of these things on there. But right now, it's kind of like we've always been in a reactive mode, where like a pool heater went out, and right now, I covered that in my budget. You may see it as amendment if we can't cover it, if I can't cover it in my expenses. So, my hope is that I'll have the money in my budget to cover that, but if anything major else goes out, then, we'll have to make, our budgets are tight, but, I typically can make it work, like the sauna steam room and eucalyptus area. The sauna is probably the highest priority for me right now. The tile, there's 1-inch tile all the way around that, ceiling and all, that is literally just peeling away. And so we're going to have to figure out. But like, do you wait for some renovation, or do we just go ahead and figure that out and get that part done?
Councilman Bates.
I'm glad that this is coming up right here at the end of the budget cycle, or the budget development meetings. And I think Councilmember Swanson is hitting on a very important point. Last budget cycle, I felt really strongly that we really need to look at a capital improvement plan citywide. And I feel even stronger this year because every single department has needs that are not budgeted for. And it's hard for us as council to, one, remember what all of them are, and then figure out how do we want to prioritize all this. Police needs radios and cameras. The Parks has a mountain of things they need. So I hope, I don't know, somewhere along the lines in the next step in the budget process that we find a way to prioritize all of these things that aren't budgeted for, and then also look at paying for a capital improvement plan that would address all of this, so.
And one aspect I like about the capital improvement plan, it's from the outside and they'll attach cost to it. And there are procurement issues by just having, folks in departments go out and get bids, which they're really good at. But procurement rules, sometimes there's that slippery slope that, well, you called me and got a bid already, and then you have inside knowledge, and, I like that part of a capital improvement plan.
Yeah. Just one final question from me about the rec center. I'm just wondering, with the pool, the pool's expensive to maintain. Is there any way to do you even know, because it would be hard with the way we charge at the rec center, I guess, but is the pool, does it bring in enough revenue to pay for the expenses?
Pool, inherently, why Idaho Falls won't build a pool is pools do not cover their costs. Their operating expenses are so high that, like, really to get the revenue to cover those expenses, that's why typically you won't see standalone pools being built anymore for communities.
Yeah,
Because
so-
they just don't. But I think we kind of have that sweet spot because we are the most desirable pool in Pocatello for people to have come swim at. And so we do get a lot of people, a lot of swimmers. And that pool is busy from 6 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. when we kick them out.
Yeah, just wondering, so with the, your proposed budget, it's at a loss of $530,000. Actuals in '25 were $350, so I would imagine, like you said, your revenues are maybe a little low, but would you say the bulk of the loss comes from the pool?
Yes, it's chemicals alone. And then, I'm trying to think what else.
I think it's also deferred maintenance.
Yeah, the deferred maintenance.
The renovation helped us a ton. We're not seeing repairs needed in those spaces. But the spots that were not renovated is where, those are what we're talking about today, is the deferred maintenance issues, and those are things that cost us more money. Which is fair. I mean, I would say that citywide, every department head would agree that the older infrastructure is what's costing them more money.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a hard question. I'll just be honest about it. Like, when we hear yesterday that streets is gonna use 1.3 million of reserves,
Yep.
if we did not have this pool, how much money would the city save? Do you have any idea?
Well, Fund 4 is different than the other, so it's a separate taxing entity. So,
Right.
if you chose to cut one of these from Fund 4, it would not save your street issue, it would not solve your street issue or your general fund issue. It's just a different mechanism.
Also, the use of that pool goes beyond just the rec center. So when ISU didn't have their pool, the pool was being used. The high schools used the pool. Other agencies use the pool. So there's more to the use of this pool and its historical implication in the community. Just doing away with the pool doesn't meet any need or satisfy any solution.
But it does go to our 3% cap, is that not right? Rich, I guess that's a question I have. With all our levies, if we reduce the recreation levy, doesn't that mean we have more in our 3% to put in the general fund or streets?
Yes,
It does.
Okay.
it does. They are getting parks, we've chosen to fund them with taxes. I'm nervous when I hear the word loss, because there's no loss here. We fund them. They're doing a great job, and it's a great amenity for our community. But they do get tax dollars for that. And we split those out, like I've shown before on the L2, and those percentages could be adjusted. Those are a choice that we've made.
Yeah, I just want to be clear. I guess I'm not advocating. I just want us to, I think we have to be open in the conversation of, we've got a lot of priorities to fund. And so if we're going to address needs all across the city, it's going to take some hard decisions like that. And so I wanted to be clear where we're at, so.
It's a great question and a great educational opportunity. I do think there's some misunderstanding on how that works.
Thanks.
And maybe like on that note, like a follow-up about the library that we were talking about, Rich, that
Right.
they don't have a separate levy. It's the same concept as
It is
here.
the
It's just
same
split out
concept.
with our general property taxes.
That is correct. You decide to fund the library at that level, and you could decide to fund the library. I don't want to put anyone's hair on fire.
No.
You could decide to fund the library at a different level. That is correct.
Could a library district be created to pull the library off of
Sure, I
that
think those
levying
discussions
mechanism?
have been had. I mean, I live in a library district, so obviously it can be done. I wasn't here for the discussions for those kinds of things. I do believe it would take a vote. There'd be some background work, a heavy lift to get it, created, but yes, it is doable, you bet.
Okay, yeah, good discussion. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for hanging in there, Ann and Kelly, and thanks, Stacy. Okay, with that, we are adjourned. That's the last agenda item. Thank you, everyone.